Okay, now we're going to talk about Norman control. Okay, so when William became king in England, it's very common to remember that he took the throne by force, and that did not automatically mean that everyone was willing to listen to him as king. So we're going to talk first of all about submission of the earls. So basically, this is when England and the earls, after the death of Harold Godwinson, basically this is where they surrendered. So after the Battle of Hastings, the Witan immediately appointed Edgar Ethelyn as King of England. So the Witan, remember, Royal Council, and then Edgar Ethelyn was a contender to the throne. Remember, he was half brother, nephew, and related to Edward the Confessor. So it meant that he actually had the blood claim to the throne. William immediately marched towards London and destroyed everything in his path. So he showed power. Okay, and realised that everyone was actually particularly quite scared of him, because his army marched towards London, which was the capital, and he's actually very powerful and still after the Battle of Hastings. The earls had no choice but to submit to William for a number of reasons. London was not a stronghold. That meant it could not be defended that well and would not withstand an attack. Also, they lost their best troops at Battle of Stamford Bridge and Hastings. Basically, they didn't have an army, so they couldn't defend the position they were in, and essentially, they didn't have an army. The whole army had been decimated at the Battle of Stamford Bridge and the Hastings. So essentially, they didn't have an army to fight, to defend themselves and fight against William. So that's one way. So that's kind of a bit about control. He's got them to surrender. So basically, it was humiliating. They surrendered, and he's by swearing, they swear an oath to support William. So basically, they made him king. That's quite a big thing. We always speak about these oaths, and these oaths meant that if they broke the oath, they'll end up in hell. So furthermore, he rewarded followers Anglo-Saxons. So William wanted the trouble-free takeover, with Anglo-Saxons continuing to have important roles in government. Earls like Edwin and Morcar kept their earldoms. Archbishops like Stigand and Aelred kept their positions. So basically, because he wanted a trouble-free takeover, he let them continue having important roles. He didn't get rid of every Anglo-Saxon. He basically kept the ones which were important enough and know that he could win over and gain their support, but also had enough influence to kind of keep making sure that the Anglo-Saxon population did not keep revolting or attacking William. Obviously that was not the case, because obviously there was a number of revolts against him, but it's just the idea that he wanted to make sure that he could lend on to them to get a bit of support and get their advice about the kingdom. So then he had to reward his followers who were Normans. So William ordered a heavy tax called the Geld tax. The reason he ordered this was to collect money to pay and reward his Norman followers who helped him gain the throne. Okay, so basically he paid them and continued paying them to help him control England. Paid and continued paying to help control England. And a lot of the bishops, a lot of the earls who helped him, or the kind of influential people, also given land later on as well. Okay, so now controlling the borders, March earldoms. Okay, remember these are the earldoms next to Wales. These are Shrewsbury, Hereford, and Chester. So William created new earldoms on the border of Wales, and these were Shrewsbury, Hereford, and Chester. The men who were put in charge of here had lots of independence than other earldoms. William wanted to create a more secure border between England and Wales. Okay, because you remember here, Wales was not like Wales is today, like joining with England. Wales is its own independent area and would often fight against English, and that border between England and Wales changed many times over the period. So the border was fought over a fair bit. Okay, so he wanted to make sure when he became king there'd be no trouble with Wales. So basically put these March earldoms in these positions. So Shrewsbury, Hereford, and Chester, said to him, right, you can manage your own land, you don't have your own power, you don't have to pay tax to me. Use that money to build as many castles as you can, build up your army, and help me defend my country against threats from Wales. Okay, and finally, William built 500 castles in England, all of them in key strategic locations such as towns and river bends. By doing so, William hoped to show his power and authority to his people in England. The castles are called motte and bailey. Remember, the bailey is the land in front with a wall, and the motte is the mound of earth, what the keep or the castle sits on top of. Okay, so when you break it down, these are all the ways he managed to control England. This is the type of question, when you see that word control, essentially it refers to any of these points on here. Okay, submission of the earls has not come up on any paper just yet. That might be something worth going over. Okay, castles came up last time, but as a 4-mark question, but the idea of control hasn't come up for a few years, so it might be worth revising this topic.